afternoon. My name is Lorrie. Welcome to my channel. We are quilters. Welcome to Blabfest Friday number 27. I only have 4 main topics to talk about today. A little bit of about each one. Not a whole lot. We've been traveling and busy. I know that some of you are even busier than I am. So my first topic, I'm going to pull up the applique sampler flower Rose of Sharon quilt. I am going to practice, got it all laid out there, ready to practice some quilting. I think I'm going to do the first round of quilting on my little machine right here. And then I'm going to put a false back on it as I do that. And then after I do some embellishments with hand embroidery or beads, then I will put the actual backing and binding on it. So that will be the next series, is going to be embellishment after we finish applique. We have a little bit more applique to do over the next couple of weeks. Some that I will try, some I will just show you some good examples in case you would like to try. But hand applique, all it is hand sewing. Just keep that in mind. My next topic is handwork. So I have been working on the raw edge applique, the quilt pieces that I found. And you can see them up there behind me, and I'll pop up a picture right here beside me. But you can see the raw edge applique pieces. 4 of them are done. There are 20 more cut and ready to go. I just need to pink the edges before I put them on the 8.5-inch squares. And then I am going to double the size of this quilt and add 24 more because I have paper pieces that came with it for me to do some more foundation paper piecing. So that should be fun, and I will continue to work on that. I have been working a little bit on the cathedral window mug rug. I've been splitting my time in the evenings between handwork on things like this little project, and I do a little bit, and then I have been reading books. So I don't get as much handwork done as I could, but I do love to read books, and I love mystery quilts based on books. I think that would be lots of fun to do. And I have been thinking about a scrap piece sew-along, because a couple of you said you would join right in. So I am getting out the graph paper and the pencils and getting that ready in my mind. It takes me a while to get started, but once I do, or I could use EQ8. Either way, I love to design quilts. That's one of my favorite things to do. There's the end of the second topic, handwork. Somehow I turned that into a sew-along. Don't know. The third thing, and I'm saving the best for last, just like you're supposed to. The third thing is old. I don't want to say old stuff. I'm going to go with vintage finds from around. My husband found this really cool thread box at a yard sale. It cost all of 50 cents. Can you tell Nugget's back visiting us until Sunday? Anyway, this vintage thread box has a flip up top, and they're all labeled where you put your scissors, where you put your thimble, and the little words are there in the plastic underneath. But the coolest thing about this thread box, and I couldn't figure out what these little metal tabs on top were for. And then I got to fiddling around with it, and each pin inside that has a place to put a spool of thread also has a slot on the outside, and then it has its own thread cutter for each thread slot. Isn't that neat? I've never seen one like that, and I've seen lots of thread boxes. So this one I think is going to become part of my travel kit, because it is very cool. Then in a box, I found lots of fabric. I talked about finding a box of fabric at Vinnie's thrift store last week. A truck went down the road. Not our road, the main road. Poor Nug. It's so hard to keep us safe. Anyway. And on Saturday, I found a bin of fabric at a yard sale, a church yard sale. It was labeled 15 bucks. And in it, I found... Nugget got to go outside and bark at stuff outside because it echoes so nicely in here. At any rate, in the big bin of fabric, there was a box of safety pins. I have never seen so many safety pins collected in one place in my entire life. And these are very small. I love the advertising and the trouble they went to on the box, that they say all kinds of things. Let me see here. It says secure heads, finest finish, high tension. Now, I don't know of any safety pins that don't have those things. And there's no date on that box. And it says 10 gross. That's 1,440 pins. Somebody wrote the number 1,700 on that box. I am not going to count those. That is an amazing amount of those little tiny, and look here on my hand. Look how small size 0 is. I am set for little tiny safety pins for the rest of my life, even if I live to be 150. Just saying, just saying. So anyway, that was one of the other finds, was the safety pins. And of course, you can never have too many half-square triangles. There was another pile of these down in there as I was sorting through the fabric. And even more special, there was a baggie with, I'm going to call them a pile of rhombus-shaped fabric to make tumbling blocks, already cut. This is one of those shapes that's very hard to sew, and the example that was in the bag was hand sewn most of the way on the back. Most of the seams were hand sewn. So, very interesting. I'll have to lay that out and see what's what, because there are not enough of those little white triangles to go with the rest. So I'll have to do some research on that one. I have not made that kind of block because I am afraid of those bias edges. I know I shouldn't be. Starch is the answer, I think. And I don't know if I'm touching, these do not feel like they have been starched in any way. They feel like they've just been cut. So I don't know how that will turn out. We'll have to see. I need to do some thinking about that. So that is all I have for vintage stuff and vintage finds. And now, the piece de resistance, the last topic of the day, the weather quilt. I have been telling you, oh, I might have that done, I might have it. Well, this week, I do have all of the March blocks done. I have the April blocks cut out, except for 3 that I can see laying there on the table. I have the March blocks done. I laid them out on the table, and I put them all together. Here is the month of March. Now, the outside background of these blocks, if it's the West Virginia block, that is the wind. So you can tell that the wind is between 4 and whatever the upper range was on that chart. But it's a mild wind. I did not realize that the days were so windy. And yeah, I can see where I traveled or where I stayed someplace else during this month. And here it is This is going to be a big quilt because this is a fourth of the quilt. I'm going to do it as a double-sided quilt. I'm going to do January, February, March, April, May, June on the front, and then I'm going to do the second half of the year on the back. They are 6-inch blocks, so it'll still be a big quilt, but it is going to be a double-sided quilt. And I think I'm going to come up with a way to do an embroidered key around on the top. I have an idea in mind using the embroidery machine. So here it is in all of its glory. It's pretty long, so here it is. Take a good look, a couple of the blocks. It's getting there slowly but surely. So what have you been working on? Please share your progress so I can have something other than my work to show next week. And I can hear Nugget outside barking now, and I can hear my husband telling him to stop it. So I need to turn off the camera and go bring in the little wild barking beast. And we will see you on Monday for Upskill Monday when we talk about mola quilting, mola applique. See you then. Have a good weekend.